Have you ever been in a difficult conversation and the other person just shuts down? And no matter what you do, they won't engage in the conversation. They just withdraw. They stop talking, and instantly your nervous system starts to spiral like, why won't you why won't you talk to me? Your mind races. You want answers. And you're in the middle of conversation that's meaningful to you, and then there's this shutdown, and there's no resolution. There's still the conflict. And you know I think, for me, I used to think it was rejection from my husband. I used to think that a lot, and then I realized it's just pure overwhelm. He did not care for conflict, and it was just um, that he would literally just shut down. And that would have, it sent me spiraling downwards. Like my PDF, I wish I would have had my PDF back then that you can always download for free for the internal operator, because I was definitely not an internal operator. I would get really upset and I'd say, can we just finish the conversation? Will you just answer a couple of last questions? Can you, or anything to get him to continue to have the conversation? And he literally would just shut down. And his nervous system had shut down, and my nervous system just went into arg. And like, I just needed resolution. I needed to finish the conversation. And this is, that the two just not working together very well in that moment. And so I think a lot of people fight when they're under pressure. Some people overtalk, some people panic. It's not because they don't care, and it's it's because their nervous system just cannot stay engaged in a conversation. Like, they literally move into, and this could happen to you as well, you literally move into survival mode. And that's what my husband would do. He literally, would just shut down, and he would be in, like, don't come at me with anything else, because he's like, there was nothing to say. He just would not say anything. He was just, I felt like it was rejection, and I didn't feel like it was very kind. And I had all my programs running of what it was. And it's not rejection, the shutdown. It's not rejection. Or if we interpret it, we can interpret it that way. The moment that we interpret it as rejection or as abandonment or catastrophe, then that's when our nervous system can start spiraling. That's when my nervous system would start spiraling. And so that is a stability moment. And I am very fortunate that years ago, I really moved into my spirituality. And before I learned about self-talk and the brain, I actually absolutely loved the brain and neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. I just didn't understand the mechanism. I didn't know the how to. And so literally, I was so into my spirituality that the one thing that I would always say is everything is a message to me for positive change. And so the last year and a half of his life was really beautiful in so many ways, because I didn't push him. I won't say never, but but for the most part, I allowed him to just be. I didn't judge him. I didn't push. When we had a conversation, it was just like, okay, he's going to shut down because there's conflict, and that's okay. And so I would just I would have to do my micro stabilities. I didn't know about what I am teaching here. I had no idea about the stability spiral. I just knew that I also was going into shutdown, not shutdown, but I was going into uh, blow up mode. And so what was I going to do? And so that whole thing, that everything is a message to me for positive change, that interrupted. That was the disruptor for me. So I would pause and remind myself about that, and say that, and know that something beautiful is around the corner. And it interrupted my catastrophic thinking, feeling that I was being rejected. And that changed everything. That stability, it often means taking the meaning that we assign to something and understanding that maybe that's not the meaning. And it I'm trying to think how to say this. In the meaning, sometimes we tell ourselves a story, and we don't know what's happening with the other person, because a lot of times they're not even emotionally vulnerable enough to understand what's happening with them. They haven't done the work, and maybe they don't understand it. So, and even if they have done the work, they still have shut down because their nervous system has gotten on fire. And so, um, when someone emotionally shuts down, this it, pause, pause before chasing that resolution for yourself, and take a breath and ask yourself, am I reacting to what's happening or to the meaning I'm assigning it? And remember the story that you're telling yourself about this person that's doing that. Or even if it's you shutting down, like it's what is happening in that moment. And the single pause, that pause can literally interrupt a downward spiral before it just like goes out of control. I went out of control many times for many years. And it's not fun. It is not fun to go down that. And so I didn't understand that somebody could literally just shut down like that. I had no, it's like, I mean, I grew up, there were 9 of us. And so, and everybody had their rah, rah, rah. And I mean, yeah, we'd leave or whatever, but it was a very boisterous. And I'm sure that we would shut down and at some point, but we always seemed to move through things. And when I met Steve and there was that conflict and he literally would not speak, I was like, to me, that felt like rejection. It also felt unkind, and it felt like lack of respect. And so these were my programs that were running, my programs telling me all these stories. And I'd start telling myself these stories that, well, he doesn't love me. If he did, he would respect me. If he loved me, he would talk to me. He would keep talking. He wouldn't just stop talking. Like, why is he just stopping talking? And that took me a long time to figure that out. But anyway, you can do this. I believe in you. So here's your self-talk. Ready? I can stay grounded even when someone else withdraws. I can stay grounded even when someone else withdraws or shuts down. However you want to say it, because you can. You can stay grounded. You can pause. You can breathe. We haven't talked about the vagal breath in a long time, but 4 in, 6 out. Literally, it's just fewer in and more out so that you can activate the vagus nerve and move back into parasympathetic so that you can create any micro stabilities that you can create in that moment, like just walking outside, going and looking. I would go look at the clouds. I loved looking at the clouds in the mountains, and I just go look and see what a big, vast world, and everything is a message to me for positive change, and everything will be fine. And a lot of times it was just, needing a little bit of time. It would give me the space to stop the spiral. So I would interrupt the spiral, not knowing what I know now, but now we know together. So now we can really help each other, meaning that I can help you and you can help me. We can learn how to do this together. The more of us that are becoming the internal operator and taking on that state is a state of empowerment, because we're not just spiraling downward with our programs that are typically negative. And we're thinking, what's wrong with them? Or what did I do? Or why he doesn't love me? Or there's This is not respect. He cannot respect, and our stories, like he cannot, there's no way he respects me if he can shut down like that, because he's being very unkind. And how can you be unkind? And we're just putting all this meaning into something. So I did go a little bit on and on, because it's interesting. Sometimes shutdown, it's not about us, and it's not about rejection, it's not about punishment, it's about them or yourself literally just trying to regain some control, because feeling out of control and shutting down and moving into the sympathetic, into survival, and they're unable to say anymore, do anymore. And that can be very challenging. And I think that creates a lot of issues with couples. At least it did in my marriage. But anyway, so it's not about, sometimes it's not about rejection or punishment. Sometimes it's just a nervous system reaction, and a system that just doesn't know how to stay present, is unable to do that. And understanding that can completely change the way that we respond. And we can choose to spiral up and be that internal operator, where we take that pause and we do a micro stability, whether that be a breath or going outside and looking at clouds and saying everything is a message to me for positive change, everything, including this. And that is your stability moment. You can do, be, change, have, create, become absolutely anything. I believe in you. You can do this. You absolutely can. I love you so very, very mucho. Today is day 44 of 365. We will see you tomorrow for day 45. See you later. Ciao.